Hello everyone, it's Kana here, and I am going to be giving you a little bit of instruction on how to do the peer review process. Along the way, I'm going to give you a little bit of hints at some things about like how to insert quotes into essays, as well as a little bit of a pointer on how to do conclusions. You're going to want to know all this stuff because they're going to be very important, right, in aspects of your writing this term. One thing I really want to note is that the peer review process is a lot of points in this term, so please follow these instructions. Even if you've done peer review before, please follow these instructions to make sure that you are completing the peer reviews in the way that I want you to be completing the peer reviews. All right, so let's begin. Looking at the English 1010 website, I'm going to go to week 3 because in week 3 is where your first peer review is going to happen. You can see in the week 3 overview that we have the rhetorical analysis paper peer review discussion post. In this discussion discussion post, I give you a little bit of information about the peer review, like when things are due and such, and I also provide a peer review guide. I will be posting this initial video in this, once it's completed, in this assignment description as well as in the peer review guide. I'm going to click it here right now just to show you what is on the peer review guide. The peer review guide shows how you can locate peer review assignments. I cannot show you this in the video because as the instructor, I do not get assigned peer review at all. And also, we haven't had the computer or Canvas assign these peer review assignments, like who you're going to be actually reviewing yet. That's going to happen on the mornings of, I think, like Tuesday mornings or whatever it says in the syllabus. So here, like you can click this guide and it tells you a little bit about how to find out who you're peer reviewing, what it shows like for you on Canvas. I can't, like I said, I can't imitate that here. And then it also gives this note saying only use this guide for finding out who you're reviewing. The way Canvas sets up peer reviews, like where you would put it in these like comments or whatever, that is super hard for me to grade and really hard for the students to find out a little bit about, like, find your reviews. So please just follow my instructions, which means that you would just reply to them in the discussion post itself. Okay. And I also give you some technical aspects of the peer review. This tells you a little bit about how to do it in the Microsoft Office suite. Okay, if you do not already have Microsoft Office, there's a free version that you can get following these links, as well as there's some links I think somewhere on USU's website. If you have trouble getting this, like Microsoft Online, the free version, you can contact USU's IT department and they can help you with the technological aspects of getting Microsoft Office. I really highly suggest that you use Microsoft Office, and that's how I expect you to be doing these reviews. In any of your classes here at USU that has any writing, they're going to expect you to also be using Microsoft Office, and through this you get Word, Excel, and PowerPoint for free. So might as well use it. Okay. So you can read this information about the technological aspects, and if you have any questions about doing some specific things, just contact USU's IT department. I just give you this information so you have like a sense of what to do, and it links to Microsoft's tutorials themselves. Okay, so clicking back into getting into the assignment, the rhetorical analysis paper draft peer review, you see the information. All you're going to do is after you, right, the student, have written your draft, it looks like on Tuesday you're going to have to upload your draft. So you're going to hit reply, and we've already written your draft, and you're going to say, click up so you can see this, hello everyone, oops, hello everyone, I can't spell, obviously. I teach English, so. Okay, hello everyone. Here are the concerns I have with my draft. Right, so what you're going to do is you should like come up with 1 or 2 or 3 things that you want your peer reviewers to know that you have questions about. So you're going to, I like to use like numbers or bullet points or whatever. So concerns I have with my draft. Does my thesis make sense? Okay, that's a reasonable thing to ask. Like, is your thesis make sense? Is it strong? Right, those are some things that you're gonna probably want to know. You can make up your own questions. It doesn't my thesis make sense? Do my definitions of kelp work? Right, so you're going to have to define kairos, ethos, logos, and pathos really briefly in your rhetorical analysis paper, right? Does that work? And does my analysis of TST, the Satanic Temple, work? Right, you're gonna ask some sort of questions, or did you describe what TST is briefly and well enough? Those kind of things, right? And then you're going to attach, and I have this. I call this an example paper. So open that or press that. So I've loaded example paper, and now you can see. Oh, here's my post. It has my questions that I have. It has my paper good to go, and I do that before the end of day on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, okay, now let's pretend you're not me, okay? So Wednesday morning, you're another student and you've been assigned your peer reviews. You know who you're supposed to be looking for. So you realize, oh, I'm supposed to review Kana's work. So you go to Kana's post right here and you see, oh, here are her questions. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Then you look at and you go, okay, so you click the paper. It will download it for you. So you're going to click it and open it in Word. If you're using an online version, you might have a different process, but I'm just going to assume you have Word on your paper or on your computer at this point. Okay, and then you see this paper. All right, first thing you're going to do is you're going to go up to File. You're going to hit Save As, and then let's pretend this had the last name on it because you should have a last name. So example paper, I'm going to pretend whoever wrote it was Smith. I don't know. And then I'm going to add my initials to the end of it. So there's Smith, then there's CUI, which are my initials. If your initials are CUI, great, put those too. But let's say your name is Judy Jeff Jones. You're going to have JJJ right on here, and then I'm gonna make sure it's saved because it's for me on a Mac. It goes to my downloads. I'm gonna put it on my desktop so I can see it. And example paper Smith, that's the pretend author, CUI, blah blah blah. Press save. So now I know that I've used a new document, not just the downloaded document. That way, when whoever gets your peer reviews like re-downloads it for themselves, it's just a different named document so they can distinguish your commented ones from theirs. That way they don't accidentally turn in the commented or the annotated paper to the final assignment. That happens all the time, so adding your initials really helps your peers. Okay, so looking at this example paper. So one thing, every paper that you write or anything you write should have a unique and punchy title, right? Example paper is the same as having your rhetorical analysis essay named Rhetorical Analysis. Remember, your title is a part of the rhetoric of your paper. It gives us a sense of what's going on. So example paper is really like there's nothing to it. So you're going to click the review section. So you'll be in this review section of Word, and you're going to have the example paper highlighted, and you're going to hit the word or hit comments and put new comment. And you're going to go over and say, make sure to include a punchy title, right? That there should be like a good title. Example paper just doesn't cut it. All right, now looking at this example paper, it says this first paragraph does this. I'm reading along this writing the paper, so it's an example for students. I want to provide this example so my students can learn some editing techniques for their coursework. I'm giving this example to help my students learn things for their assignments. I hope they find it useful. Seems like there's some repetitive stuff going on in this first paragraph. I'm just going to click on one of these sentences. This is probably the most repetitive and weakest sentence here in this introduction. And I'm going to say, this seems repetitive. I don't know how to spell repetitive. I think that's maybe right. This seems repetitive. Edit, or delete. Delete. Okay. And it looks like I spelled repetitive wrong. I'm just going to go, all right, that's how you spell it. Great. And then I'm going to move on. The second paragraph, I discuss example papers. Okay, that's topic sentence. Example papers are good for teaching. Smith, an expert on example papers, argues that example papers are a great way to demonstrate concepts to students. And that's page 3. Okay, I'm going to make, and then demonstrating concepts to students is probably one of the most important concepts or components of teaching. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this thing called a quote sandwich. So this part right here, I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to highlight it in a bun color. Okay, so is it working? Did it highlight? Okay, or I changed the type. Let's just do this. Wait, this is highlight right here. So I'm going to highlight it. This is the first part of your quote sandwich. It is the setup for a quote. Okay, so you're setting up the rationale or the reason that you're going to be needing a quote, or you're just kind of like getting the reader prepared, right? Example papers are good for teaching. Then Smith, an expert on example papers, argues that, and then you have these quotation marks, blah, 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 and then page 3. So this section of the quote sandwich, I'm going to make it green for like leafy things, okay? It does a number of things. Number 1, identifies Smith, that's the author of the quote, but hey, we don't know who the heck Smith is, right? It could be Jaden Smith, and I'm like, is Jaden Smith an expert on papers? Why should I be listening to Jaden Smith about writing? I mean, Jaden Smith actually maybe is a good writer. I have no idea. But what I do is you create a little tiny, little like quotation, or like a little clause, I guess is the way you would call it, with the commas. An expert on example papers. So maybe if you're writing about the Satanic Temple, you would say Lucian Greaves, comma, right? A co-founder of the Satanic Temple, comma, states, right? So just telling us who they are, so we're not like just like, who is that? I don't get it, right? So you're doing that. And then at the end, because it is a quote, right, you're using a direct quote, you can see that with the quotation marks, you're going to have what page number in whatever document, or if it's a paragraph in a web document, what paragraph number. So it should be para 3 if it's paragraph 3. Okay, so that's the insides of your, in this case, vegetarian quote sandwich. And then the third thing that you're going to do is you're going to contextualize, or you're going to give some information about like why that evidence, right, because it becomes evidence at this point, why that evidence is important or what it does. So you're going to contextualize it for your reader. So I'm going to make this another bun. Okay, so this is what a quote sandwich looks like, and I expect it for all of your papers that use quotations. Like, you need to like contextualize it for us, let us know, right, have a setup, provide your evidence, whatever it is, and then contextualize it for us. Don't just plop in evidence by itself. It doesn't do anything that way, and you have no control over how, if you just plop it in, you have no control over how your reader will take the evidence. So let them know what's happening and then why that evidence is important, so you stay in control of the world within your paper. Right? Don't let the reader have too much power. Okay, and then so we keep moving on. Likewise, educational research demonstrates the importance of example papers for instructional purposes. Briggs and Small state that example papers are necessary for modeling writing behaviors and demonstrating technologies for students. Oh, look, here's me getting some information. Okay, so what you should do here is you notice, hey, I see, here's a bun for my quote sandwich. That's a quote sandwich bun. Here's the meat of my quote sandwich. I'm going to put meat this time. Here's meat. Wait, we don't have another bun. Where's the bun? Right? So at this point, you're going to go, hey, put the little comment here, or go back to review, and add a comment and say, make sure to finish your quote sandwich. Contextualize this evidence. Okay, so they've done a good job of doing MLA formatting for this quotes and stuff like that, but they just haven't finished their quote sandwich. And then here's the final one. This is paragraph 3, where I conclude my paper on example essays. Okay, topic 10, sure. I don't have much more to say on this subject. I hope you learned a lot. Okay, this might seem like a joke, like this conclusion, but man, I see conclusions like this all the time. Here's the thing. Your conclusion is the very last thing that your instructor, such as myself, reads before assigning your grade. Let's think about that for a second. Your conclusion is the very last part of your writing, right? Your essay, if it's 5 to 7 pages long, or 3 to 5 pages long, whatever it is, your conclusion is the very last thing we read before we hit the number that gives you the grade. So, it behooves you deeply to make sure your conclusion is on point, right? We want you to have a good conclusion. You should synthesize what happened in your essay. Talk about, like, we were talking about this. Here's some evidence that I gave, right? You're going to kind of paraphrase each paragraph, basically, of your essay. And then what you're going to do at the end is give us some stakes, man. Like, why does this matter? Why do we care? What are some things that's going to, like, blow my mind and go, oh, wow, yes, right? Change my life, right? You're going to come up with something. So, for example, if in your introduction, we didn't do this in this example paper, but in your introduction of, let's say, the Satanic Temple stuff, you tell this little story about, let's say you're doing something about their after-school Satan club, and you go, imagine blah, 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 you know, getting a permission slip from your little sweet child in pigtails, whatever, for them wanting to join an after-school Satan club, right? And you tell this little story in your introduction. You set up the stakes. In your conclusion, you're going to refer back to that story. You know, like, little Becky brought home this is, you know, blah, blah, blah. And here are the things that were happening, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to talk about little Becky, and you're going to be like, you know, for little Becky's sake, X, Y, and Z. Like, all the little Beckys in the world, right? You're gonna kind of make this, like, have some sort of impact. So make sure you do that. This conclusion doesn't do anything. So what you're going to need to say to because you're going to be kind, right? You're going to say, new comment, make sure to synthesize your essays, arguments, and the arguments in your conclusion. Make sure to let your reader know the stakes, or what is at stake, etc., etc., right? So you're gonna give them this clue, like, yeah, your conclusion is not very strong, but you're gonna say it in these actionable things, right? Synthesize your argument. Let them know what's at stake. Don't just be like, your conclusion really sucks. That's not very kind. So try to do something a little more productive than that. Okay, final thing that we're going to look at is the works cited. It looks like what they've done is they've have a couple of citations, Briggs and Smalls and Smith. All right, cool. And it looks like they're formatted well enough, right? We're none of us, I happen to be, but not everybody's an expert on what citations look like, but they give some specific information. It looks like I'd be able to go and find that information myself if I'm like, I'm going to check your receipts, right? I'd be able to check someone's receipts through this works cited, right? And there aren't any things in the works cited that did not occur in the essay itself. I find that all the time. I find that in works cited, my students, because they have to have a certain amount, they have all these things listed, but if I go back into the essay, I don't see where they're used. And I'm like, okay. So make sure that everything that you cite, right, that you put in your works cited is actually in your essay, right? And if you're like, well, I did, but it was kind of like I paraphrased the idea. Well, that still is something that you would cite, right? You would put that, like you put Smith. Let's say we, instead of using a direct quote and we paraphrase it, we just go Smith 3 within parentheses at the end of that sentence where you paraphrased Smith's idea about essays. So there are ways that you use that's called an in-text citation, right? Where you paraphrase something. So make sure that everything is like represented in the essay and go, wait a second, your works cited page should be on a different page. It's its own thing. It's not part of your page count at all. So you're going to say, make your works cited a new page. And how you would make works cited a new page is you would just, for you would go right in front of the works cited thing. You would go to insert at the top and you would say go to break, page break. This is on a Mac. It might look a little different in a PC. Page break, and look, works cited is now on its own page. Okay, so then you're going to make sure to press save, right? So all your comments are saved. And there we go. We have it. It's all saved. We can close it up now. And then, right, we've just reviewed Kana's paper. All we're going to do is press reply. We're back in the discussion post. We're going to press reply and we're going to say, Kana, good job on your paper. I have added comments to a document for you. Okay, so then you're going to attach, you're going to look, and I see example paper Smith CUI right here. I'm going to open that, and you can see that it's attached, and then I'm going to press post reply. And I have done my peer review. All right, I hope this little tutorial was helpful for you. And obviously, in order to see your peer review, all you're going to do is click your example paper, like, okay, now I see their comments. I'm going to open it. And when you open it in Word, it's going to open up here in a second, you will see all the comments that people made. You can see my cool quote sandwich in there still too. But so this is what you will see as part of your review, and you could go, oh yeah, that is repetitive. Oh yeah, I need to have a punchy title. Oh yeah, I need to do this and that. So you'll have a chance to take a peek at what your peers suggest for you to make your work stronger. All right, thanks for watching, and I look forward to reading all your writing this semester.